older one, I said, what would you say if I went and didn't come back? I would miss you for sure, but I would carry on your work. It's because I love America so much that I perpetually reserve the right to criticize her. I've never cut off so many limbs of children as I did today. We've talked about going there as well. We've talked about doing humanitarian work, not sure if we would come back. Children are being murdered on a daily basis. I told my son, when we thought about going to Gaza, I've never enucleated that many eyes as I did today. We held a Juneteenth one year, and I won't forget, and one of my neighbors said, I don't want to come, thank you for the invite, because I don't think my kids are old enough to know about slavery yet. No, there's a good chance I couldn't come back. What's happening to Black Americans in our country? Childhood isn't precious to everyone. That doesn't make any sense to me. It's not enough for our lives to be okay and our kids' lives to be okay if not everybody is okay. Yeah, I think it's really important to uphold American values, and for me to raise my kids in a way that I want them to have a better world than we are seeing right now, and I want them to be proud of America. And I think that there's a lot of injustices in this world right now, what's going on in the Congo, in Sudan. There's so many terrible things, but I think this is a real, it's a crisis that stands out to me bigger than those things. I mean, they're all big, they're horrible, but this one in particular is just so simple, and so many lives lost every single day, and we could be doing something so simple and we're not doing that thing. And I think it's really important for us to bear witness to that and fight it in any way we can. Yeah, it's traumatizing just on a human level, on a physician level, when I read accounts of physicians who go there, and we've talked about going there as well. We've talked about doing humanitarian work, not sure if we would come back, and we have children to raise of our own. I mean, as a physician, to hear those accounts of people saying, doctors saying, I've never enucleated that many eyes as I did today when pagers are blowing up in Lebanon, or I've never cut off so many limbs of children as I did today. I mean, it's impossible for me to even imagine something like that. But then on another level, as a mother, which I think is probably the most powerful thing I am as a mother, to raise these kids and to just think about what parents are going through over there. Childhood isn't precious to everyone. That doesn't make any sense to me. And so many of these people who are suffering are children. And the fact that we can't agree on that it just crumbles my world. Yeah, I mean, I think James Baldwin, I just keep coming back to the same quote where he says, it's because I love America so much that I perpetually reserve the right to criticize her. And I think that people say that if you say bad things about what America's doing as far as our foreign policy, then that means you don't love America, you don't support America. But I think it's exactly the opposite. We know what American values are. It's written on paper, but we're not upholding them. So I think that for me to be a good American citizen, I was born on this soil. I have 3 children on this soil. I think this is my duty as an American citizen to speak up. It wasn't until my 20s and 30s that I actually started to realize what was actually happening instead of what I was taught. And if I didn't take particular classes that I took in college, I probably wouldn't have known a lot of the things that I know now, because if you read the mainstream news, you hear a very particular slant, and it's not the truth, it's just a slant. And so if you're not really looking for it on different news avenues, you won't know what's actually happening. And most people don't, and there's just a tremendous amount of just a terrifying amount of apathy, especially in sectors like with me, it's not enough for our lives to be okay and our kids' lives to be okay if not everybody is okay. And if we're doing this all across the world, it's not okay. And so I think it's important to educate ourselves, and we're not getting taught in school. It's not in your mainstream media. You have to go looking for it, and we have to teach our children better the truth. But I think it's come to the point when children are being murdered on a daily basis who have no harm, they've not harmed anyone, when international laws of war are being broken, I don't think it could be any of those one things. You don't have those 3 choices. It really is black and white. We've gotten almost 365 days of evidence of it being black and white. And to me, there's only 2 sides right now. And for instance, I think it's really important that my kids know about this stuff. I think it's really important that they know about what's going on our border with Mexico, when children were in cages, what's happening to Black Americans in our country. They know these things. My parents didn't really think that was super important to impart to me, I guess. I don't really know why. Maybe it was an immigrant thing. But I think that needs to change. it's just when you see so many people dying and when you see children dying, there's, as a mother, just a visceral reaction. I cannot stay at home while this is happening. I almost can't. And I actually delete Instagram probably every couple weeks because it's too much. But then you have to come back to it because I do think that as far as giving money, coming out here, another big part of that is sharing the posts of these folks. They want us all to see this and to share it widely so people know what's happening. And if we don't bear witness, then, I mean, that's like the least we can do. Several people, I would say, not a lot, have come up to me in real life and said, you know, I actually learned some things from the stuff that you post. And I was like, wow, I didn't know people were actually looking at it. And I didn't know that it was opening their eyes to something that they wouldn't have otherwise been thinking about. But because we follow each other on Instagram, they're forced to see these things I'm constantly posting. No, I talked to them about it. They know why we're here. They know kids are dying. They know kids are losing limbs. They know, I told my son, you know, when we thought about going to Gaza, I really wanted to know what God would want me to do because I have children that need me, and to go somewhere where I know there's a good chance I couldn't come back. I wasn't really sure what God would want of me. Whatever God wants of me, I'm willing to do it. I just don't know what that thing is exactly in this situation yet. But my son, my older one, you know, I said, what would you say if I went and didn't come back? And he said, I would understand why you did it. He's almost 10. I would miss you for sure, but I would carry on your work. And I thought that was great. And I brought these kids from the time they were babies, and sometimes it can, when the Muslim ban was happening in Philly, we don't always know it's going to be safe for them, but I think it doesn't matter. If there's another kid out there living this horrible thing, my kids are old enough to know about it. The Abolition of Slavery Day thing on Juneteenth. We held a Juneteenth one year, and I won't forget, and one of my neighbors said, I don't want to come, thank you for the invite, because I don't think my kids are old enough to know about slavery yet. And I was like, if there's a kid out there who is living this story, then my kid is old enough to, the same age, then they need to know about it. And I know it's important to protect their childhood, but their childhood is well protected. It's just the right thing to do, and I think that's really important to think about if it's apathy. And if it's not knowing, then I would say make it your job to figure it out, because if it was your kid, you would. If it was your family, if it was your ethnicity, you would. So, and this is about American values. So if you love America, if you love your values, if you want to know more about it because you don't know what side to support, then really look into it and talk to all different sides, but don't be apathetic. Inshallah, yeah.
You're really optimistic?
Yeah. No, I believe it because, I mean, in our lifetime, I have no idea how long I'm going to live. I might die tomorrow. But if I live a few decades or so, I think so, yeah, inshallah. And part of it is that I have to believe. I believe in the unseen, and I believe in God, 100,000%. And but as far as what you said, the timeline of that, you know, I think back to Martin Luther King. He said, you know, the arc of justice is long. The moral arc is long, right? Does that include our lifetimes? We have the lifetime of an ant. Who cares about my lifetime? You know, but it will happen. Without a doubt, there will be justice served. I just don't know when that will be. Oh, for sure, I think, yeah. I mean, I think we have a long way to go. It's frightening to me how few people not just know, but are aware of it and care. How many people are opening their phones right now and thinking, wow, there could be an explosive in there if someone really wanted to mess with Americans. Nobody is thinking that, but it's definitely possible, and we should be thinking that. No, never, no. And they gave voice to every Jewish person who wanted to speak, but when it came to the one Palestinian that wanted to speak, they wouldn't give them the time of day. They wouldn't allow them to speak. And I think that that's really one-sided, and I don't know how many Americans are going to be taking this gaslighting and just going with it, but it just, to me, it's an insult to my intelligence.